How you guys doing? Great to see your smiling face. Chandler here with Rise Magic, and today we're going to dive into some troubleshooting and work on the mechanics of the deck flip move. Some of you guys may have never attempted this before, but for some of you, maybe you kind of know how to do it, but the cards are always flailing all over the place, and it's just a really frustrating move to get down. I'm going to dive into ways you can fix that, ways you can better learn and get through the hurdles of the cards exploding everywhere, and hopefully by the end of the video, you'll be able to do the deck flip much better, or be on the pathway with some practice to be able to do it perfectly. Because like any move, it's going to take some practice to get down. I know with a deck flip, when I see someone who can do one really well without even thinking about it, I just know that they've handled cards for a really long time, because it's knacky. It takes some playing with, takes some getting used to, of you just seeing what works best with your hands. So first we'll start off with the mechanics of this move and what makes it work. But before that, one really quick tip when it comes to actually learning this. In order to get those mechanics down correctly, you can't just be dropping all of the cards every time you attempt the move. It's going to take you forever to learn, and you'll never be able to get the correct movement down before making it absolutely perfect. So here's my suggestion. When you're first learning, start with the deck in the box. And you can practice the flip with the deck in the box. You can just do it however many times you like and just get the feel for it. Once you've got it down with the deck in the box, the rotation and everything, then you can switch to a really old deck that's very clumpy. So see this deck here? This thing is a clumping machine. The cards stick together really well. They're not gonna spill all over the place. And in turn, what that does is it makes this deck super easy to deck flip. From there, you can graduate to a deck that is a little bit worn in. You guys saw me open this deck a couple weeks ago, but not completely brand new. So this deck still fans and handles well, but when it comes to deck flips, still relatively easy to do. Lastly, if you want to do the deck flip on hard mode, just use a brand new deck that's barely been used, because this deck is so slippery and smooth, it's going to be almost impossible to do a deck flip without some cards flailing over the side. This thing can barely balance on itself. It's not impossible, but even with a brand new deck, just like for any flourishing, it's difficult to perform with a brand new deck. So you're going to want to break it in a little bit. And even after that point of breaking it in, it's always going to be a little bit difficult to do a deck flip with a brand new deck without something like that happening. Now that you know how to perform the move while avoiding extreme frustration of the cards flying everywhere at all times, let's get into how the move actually works. You can be holding the deck in really any grip, but when you go to the deck flip, you have to switch to this right here. What that means is your thumb goes from the side of the deck to on top of the top left corner, okay? Your pinky finger is gonna go up to the side, just like that with your ring finger, with your middle up here a little bit. And then the most important part, your pointer finger is gonna curl underneath so that this part of the pad with your nail on it is pressing against, not necessarily the top corner, but a little bit underneath the pip, as you see right here. So that is ready to spring the cards up. Now what makes the flip actually happen is a number of things. There are 3 specific points of action that make the deck actually do the 360 flip in your hands. The first and most important is your pointer finger. That's what's gonna shoot this side of the deck up, because what you're gonna do is basically just extend. So when it flips up, that's when the deck flips. You do that by just flipping on the side. Once again, you have your pad like that, and you just push up and flip. Now, if you were to do that on its own, it's pretty difficult to just use your pointer finger to just flip. What you need is points of contact, right? So your 2 points of contact alongside with your pointer finger pushing up is your thumb and your ring and pinky finger, okay? See how I'm flexing the deck with them? You don't want to push that hard, but that's basically what's happening when you flip. So when you push with your pointer finger, what theoretically happens is it pushes up, and it's your thumb that hits this side of the corner so it can do the full flip. So your thumb when you press with your pointer finger down low, your thumb pushes down on the top left, causing that action. Now your ring and pinky, they're almost just the release. So you pull down with those, but you push a little bit hard with the thumb. And what these two do is they're kind of your release point. Like when you let go is when it goes. And you want to do that at the same time as the pointer finger. So once again, the three things that are making the flip happen: your pointer finger, deck away, going up like that, your thumb pressing down on the top left corner. So it's pressing down, that's exaggerated, but that's what it's doing lightly. And then your ring and pinky are pressing down a little bit on this bottom right corner. And it's a combination of all three of those at the same time that cause the deck to flip. Here's a quick troubleshooting tip that I see people do, even who are relatively good at the deck flip. It's kind of a matter of personal opinion. I think the flip looks coolest when there's as little motion coming from your hand as possible. So it almost looks like it's just happening on its own, like you have full and complete control of the deck. And sometimes what I see people doing is almost like tossing the deck by moving their whole arm. So they're like, and tossing like their whole hand up, which yes, you could do a deck flip that way. But I would say, in my opinion, what looks best is if your hand's almost staying completely still, completely level, like someone's holding your arm still and you can still do the deck flip without your wrist moving at all. It's all in those 3 points of contact, all right? I think that looks the best, but it's a matter of personal preference. Now I will say, beyond those 3 points of contact, there's really not many more pointers I can give you. This is kind of like trying to teach someone how to hula hoop. I can tell you to wiggle your hips and, keep it steady at a good rhythm, but in the end, you're gonna have to stand up there and hula hoop and get a feel for it. So that's why I gave you the methods at the beginning. Try it in the box, get the rotation down. Then you can switch to a really old deck and make sure that you're not pushing too hard so that the cards separate and fly in the air. Then you can move to a more worn in deck and then a more broken in deck. That's how you can progress and get a feel for it without always dropping the cards, because this is something that will take a while for you to nail and get down every single time. When I see someone who can do a good deck flip, I know that they've been doing this for a while, because it's something that's just gonna take hundreds upon hundreds of tries so you can nail it all the time without thinking about it at all. Once you truly master the deck flip, you can do not only one rotation, but 1.5 and 2. To end this tutorial troubleshooting video, here's one last quick little nugget for you magicians out there. As you know, people do magical actions all the time to justify the actual magic in a trick. Let's say they're like, okay, snap your fingers and now the card's upside down, or say abracadabra and now the card's upside down in the middle. Let's say you're doing a trick where you want to reveal a card being upside down in the middle. You can tell them, look, I'm so good at sleight of hand that all it takes is one flip and one card turns upside down. So you could just be used as a reveal, something like that. Also, if you want to do the classic, look, all the cards are different, why not, instead of flipping it over like this and showing them, why not just do a little half deck flip and do it? Just a little fancy flourish to get people all excited when you're doing your magic tricks. You know what I mean? Oh, and for the inevitable questions I'm going to get about this deck, did a whole video on unboxing them, link in description. Oh, one quick tip I forgot while doing the over-the-shoulder tutorial portion of this. It's just a little tip, a little weird. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically, if you're struggling with the cards not sticking together and staying as a deck as it flips and cards are going everywhere, this might seem a little counterintuitive, but the cards stay together as a packet better if they're not perfectly squared up. You know when you square up a deck perfectly, so the sides are perfectly smooth, the cards will actually split up more often like that than if you leave them a little bit out-jogged and a little bit messy. Seems super weird, it doesn't seem like it would work, but if you try it for yourself, you'll be like, what, doesn't make any sense. But that works. Just keep it a little bit messy, all right? All right, now that we're actually done with the tutorial and teaching section, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Cardistry Troubleshooting. If there is a move that you want to see troubleshooted that you're struggling with, leave a comment down below, and if I feel like I'm good enough at it to actually give some insight, then I'll make a video on it. Also keep in mind, I'm not going to do a tutorial or troubleshooting on a move that's paid to access. That would be very immoral and wrong of me. I'm not gonna do that. In order for the move to be available for me to do a cardistry troubleshooting on it, it needs to already have a free tutorial here on YouTube. That's the only way I can do this fairly. All right, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you're staying safe. Maybe use this time, check out some more tutorials on the channel, learn some cool new things. Got tutorial playlists for both cardistry and magic. Be sure to enter the giveaway. I love you. See you next time. Peace out.